What you do get is a particular kind of very stubborn Christian. I remember going to St Andrews in Scotland to preach at the chapel there, which is a wonderful place, next to the famous golf course.
Yes.
And just before I went in, a lady dressed entirely in wool, which is always a bit worrying, from head to foot, came up to me and said, "Do you believe Jesus Christ is your Lord and Saviour?" I said, "Yes, I do, yeah." She said, "Only he can come into your life and change your life, you know." I said, "Yeah, actually, she said, "If you want to ask him into your life now, it's very easy." I said, "Look, she said, "Only I've got a Bible here, if you'd like to," I said, "Look, I'm speaking, I've got to go in." So I go in, very uptight, having had this encounter. And as I walked in, a lady from the congregation walked down the steps, gave me a little slip of paper folded, and I unfolded it, and it said, "Thank you for everything." And it was like a little gift from God, you know, just saying, "Cool, chill." So I find that blind, non-engaging type of outreach very, very difficult. It's as though people have an itch that will never be scratched sufficiently for them.
You do speak in some of your books about the different types of Christian outreach and different concepts of Christian witness. And I think it was in one of your books, I forget which one it was, but you habituate pubs apparently. And
I do habituate pubs.
Pubs, that's
yes.
wonderful. And English pubs are wonderful places to live.
Yeah.
But you were once described by the bartender, I think, or the publican as, there's a religious man in the corner.
Oh, that was horrible, yeah.
Yes,
I've forgotten that. Yeah,
yes.
There were two elderly gentlemen who obviously drank too much.
Yes.
In England, we sometimes have a little bar called the Snug, which is a little quiet bar. And they were shouting and swearing, and I was on a little TV program called Company at the time, so I was publicly recognizable as a Christian. And the landlord came through and said, "Out, you two, out. There's a religious gentleman over there in the corner." And I could have died. I just wish I could have died. I wanted to say, "I'm not a religious gentleman. I'm not religious. I'm not a gentleman. And I don't want them kicked out because I'm here." It's that anti-gospel, really.
When we look at, obviously we do want to be Christian witnesses. We are to be salt and light to the world and so on. And you've talked about the dangers of simplistic outreach. What do you think is the key to any Christian who might be looking at this interview thinking, "I really do want to be a witness for Christ, but I just don't want to go down that stereotype sort of path"?
I think it's very hard because everyone is so different. I mean, where we've worked over the last few years, Scargo House in Yorkshire, we have a group of pastoral workers, people who volunteers or residents, community members, who are on the pastoral team, and they're so different. One, for instance, mentioned by somebody in Australia here this week, which was lovely to hear about him, a chap called Jeff, a very gentle man who would never push anything, and we love to have him. And then we have others who are more proactive with people when they're... So there are a lot of differences. All I would say is, for Bridget and I, over the last 30 years, two things seem to have either brought people back to a faith in Christ or nudged them nearer to it. One is vulnerability. There is a sense in which people feel Christian speakers only had problems in the past, which is really ridiculous. But to join them in the ditch, one foot on the bank, one foot in the ditch, so they feel safe. That vulnerability and I think the awareness of two great truths. One is the truth about us, which is flawed and funny, tragic, all sorts of things. And the other is the truth about God. The problem for Christian speakers is if you stand up and you try to match your message, it's just fake. So I think being who you are, being truth, telling the truth. Once the truth creeps into the church, you've always got a bit of a problem, haven't you? Telling the truth, and perhaps above anything else, being kind. Be kind to people.